Okay, so as far as like what to look for in an offset smoker, so like I was just mentioning, you want to try and get something that's about as thick as you can. So typically when you go to a higher end barbecue store or whatever, you'll see it's like super thick, about a 1/4 inch. If you go to like an academy as an example, and you see all these like offset smokers to where you could like press down on it and it starts wobbling, you obviously probably don't want that if you had to pick between the two, but you also want to look at the cost. So something at Academy is probably like a couple $100, maybe even like 100. But something like I was just mentioning with like 1/4 inch thick of steel, you're looking like over $1,000. But in my opinion, like the difference in quality between those two things is ginormous. So with the thicker offset smoker like this thing's 10 years old, and yes, I've had to season it, plenty of rust that's accumulated, and you have to stay on top of that regardless, whichever one you choose. But having a thicker piece of metal to begin with is going to be able to withstand a lot of that rust and degradation in the overall thickness and quality of the steel, more so than a super thin one that's going to be very ephemeral, meaning it's not going to last you probably as long. It may, but you really have to make sure you're on top of all the maintenance and the rust management and things like that, and cleaning it out and whatnot. So that's kind of the thing I would personally look for as well, is the overall rust. So if you're getting something that is new, you have to think about the potential for rust. But if you're already getting something that's used, like off a marketplace or something, look for something that isn't totally far gone, meaning there's no like actual rust obviously, but if there is, make sure like, there's no holes in like the firebox as an example. So those are just some like quick things I would personally try and look for if you were in the market for an offset smoker. But honestly, at the end of the day, the right offset smoker for you is whichever one can get you going the quickest, whichever one is in your budget. And honestly, we're all about smoking barbecue, so like it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. I would just take those things into consideration. But curious to know what you guys think. Let me know down below.